Welcome, Motenta people. Clara Bow would have lost her life to her mother, who wanted to stab her. Her mom suffered from mental illness, and in a twist of fate, Clara, in a way, became her mom and was consumed by her mind. Not only did Clara Bow sleep with everyone, but women? Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Motenta's channel. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me, or so the quote goes. But nothing is as false as that quote. Sticks and stones break bones and words? Words can do more damage than sticks and stones combined. Words can hurt and destroy. A rumor, a whisper of falsehood, can ruin a person's life. Proof? Clara Bow, the original It Girl. People got the name from the film that put Clara Bow on the map, It. Still, the film's success didn't protect the audacious actress, who lost everything because someone betrayed her. The once shining light of an actress, the original It Girl, due to one person's lies, was on the brink of getting lost in history. The betrayal ran so deep that it completely devoured the actress's mental health. Bow had gotten into fights with boys and had never been broken. The sexy tomboyish actress had squared off against studio bosses and was bent but not broken. It all went down the drain for her because someone decided to mouth some nasty things about her. Who was the someone, you wonder? Why, it was none other than her friend, secretary, and confidant, Daisy DeVoe. All her life, the amazing Clara Bow had faced harsh words, snide remarks, and unfair criticisms. True, her childhood laid the foundation for her eventual mental breakdown, leading her to commit herself to a sanatorium. However, it began to worsen when she pursued a career as an actress. Clara gave Hollywood a different kind of sensational acting. In return, Hollywood took her sanity. The studio executives tried as much as they could to smother Bow's brilliance, despite her making them the biggest bucks of their lives. You see, Bow didn't play by the book. Heck, she refused even to sign morality clauses in her contract. She could have acted like her fellow stars, but no, doing so meant she would be a hypocrite. So she lived her life as she pleased. She entered into numerous relationships with men. Some of her iconic relationships were with Victor Fleming, Howard Hughes, and Gary Cooper, who she starred alongside in Children of Divorce. Although she had a particular taste in men too, she loved them married. Her preference in men brought many scandals. She was a charming woman, and many men wooed her. It was unfair that the media only blamed her. The media didn't blame the men who were married yet chasing the actress. She suffered for the inability of these married men to stay loyal to their wives. This got her into trouble with the wives of these men. One of them, in her anguish at the loss of her husband, sued Bow for being a husband snatcher. There was a scandal that stuck out like a sore thumb out of her scandals, and it was the one with an undead man. Yes, the king of the undead himself, Dracula, played by horror actor Bela Lugosi. Her fling with Lugosi began when he was but an on-stage Dracula. Their meeting was a lustful one. Clara, being Clara, wore the flimsiest piece of clothing she had to one of Lugosi's performances. The moment he gazed upon her curvy body, he became erect like a drawn bowstring. He wanted more than an eyeful. Lugosi longed to see what was beneath. Dracula had gotten a sniff of blood, and his fangs were out. Goodness, did those two go at it most passionately. They hovered around each other all the time. They were doing it anywhere they could. It was salacious, it was raunchy, and it was completely against the morals of the time. Tabloids got the news they wanted. Clara's name was everywhere and associated with dirt, but the audience found it fascinating. She did the things that they wanted to try but didn't have the courage to. Their relationship was open, and Lugosi decided he wanted to get married while still keeping Clara Bow by his side as his mistress. Well, if Clara objected to this, it didn't make the tabloids, but nothing positive about Clara ever made the tabloids. Lugosi married a rich woman, and we suspect he married for her money and nothing else. Why do we say this? Everything went south just within 3 days of the marriage. Lugosi married Beatrice Weeks, and their marriage didn't even last a week. Within days of the marriage, Lugosi was hip-deep in Clara Bow. Clara got all the honey from the Lugosi's honeymoon. Weeks didn't like this and ended the marriage when she discovered Lugosi's treachery. Lugosi and Bow weren't the discreet types. Bow and her on-screen Dracula would eventually end things, and they did so in the best way possible. Clara gave Lugosi a naked portrait of her to remember her by, and he did so until death claimed him. The portrait hung above Lugosi's bed, and the picture outlasted his subsequent marriages. Bow knew how to make a statement, and she did it in grand style for Lugosi, as he never found any woman that would make his passion run wild. Apart from her unhealthy choices in men, her dressing was scandalous and frequently made headlines. Clara Bow played the role of a flapper girl in films, and her characters were the fun kind. However, she was what she played in films in real life, too. As a real-life flapper girl, Bow's skirts were shorter than the times preferred, and her tops were equally flimsy. She wasn't how Hollywood's big bosses wanted their female stars to be. Where was the shyness, even if it was fake? Where was the elegance a lady must display at all times? The top dogs wanted this, but Bow didn't have it, and they couldn't drop her. She had undeniable talent and was an audience favorite. Bird brain or dumbbell, the bosses would call her. Yet these people worked the star to the bones, having her featured in multiple films in a year. Ungrateful lots, but none could be as ungrateful as the thieving DeVoe. DeVoe was formerly Bow's hairdresser from the set of previous films, and her relationship with Bow blossomed to the extent that she knew Bow's finances. This wasn't unusual for Bow. Unlike other stars who only developed friendships with other stars, the elegant yet fiery Bow preferred the friendship of members of the set. She didn't fit in among the other stars, especially the women who felt she was barbaric. DeVoe began to steal from Clara, and when Clara had had enough, she sued DeVoe. DeVoe knew what she did, and knew there wasn't a way out for her. Back to the wall, DeVoe reveals what she named Clara's dirtiest secrets. DeVoe said Clara was a lesbian who had had sex with multiple women. Immense, isn't it? But the hairdresser turned secretary wasn't done yet. She said more. Daisy claimed the actress engaged in different romances every other day, drank alcohol like a fish, drank water, and was a heavy user of illegal drugs. Wow, Daisy DeVoe, what a woman. Now, nobody tried to find out the truth of Daisy's words. Everyone wanted what she said to be true. After all, the sexy Clara was a flapper girl, body and soul, who knew what these flapper girls loved, people thought at the time. The media orgasmed from the excitement. They had content that would boost paper sales. No one cared about Bow. Nobody wanted to. Most people were entertained at her expense. She became a laughingstock, and her mind began to go slowly. The pressure and mockery was so much that Clara checked out of Hollywood and into a mental institution. Her shining light had dimmed. Rather than empathize with the woman, the big people in Hollywood mocked her. They called her Crisis a Day Clara. They had overworked her and demeaned her. Yet they weren't satisfied. These big men wanted to break her, and through what Daisy did, Clara snapped like a bowstring drawn too tight. Clara Bow, born Clara Gordon Bow, was a renowned entertainer. Her influence as an actress was so powerful that she had a cartoon character modeled after her. Remember the baby talking about Betty Boop? Clara was the person that inspired her character. And boy, did Betty entertain the audience for quite a while, before the Hays Code dismantled her. However, Clara's life was a chronicle of one sad event after another. It all began before she was born. Her mother, Sarah, had an accident that jumbled her brain. Since that accident, Sarah became different and suffered from different bouts of psychosis and seizures. It didn't help that her first two children were born dead. Clara was a miracle baby. After the death of Sarah's first two children, doctors pleaded with her not to try to have a baby again. But Sarah was stubborn. she would have a baby or die trying, and she almost died along with Clara. When Beau was in her mother's womb, there was a killer heat wave in New York, which had temperatures over 100 degrees, which threatened Sarah and her unborn child. Sarah and her baby survived, but all wasn't well. Clara's dad was largely absent, and Sarah had mental issues, which didn't make her an effective worker. The family lived in a run-down house with rats and cockroaches as housemates. Her childhood was beyond rough, and Clara had to grow up quickly. She helped her mother manage her mental health problems. The sexy actress didn't get to be a child like her peers. She couldn't even be a child at all. Different traumas robbed her of this. Apart from the hardships of childhood, one of the earliest traumas the actress experienced was her friend dying right in her arms. This made the bullying from bullies over her speech impediment look like child's play. At least she could fight her bullies, as she claimed. "I could lick any boy my size. My right arm was quite famous." However, how could she lick the pain in her heart and mind? Clara Beau's tenement breached all safety codes, and in a bizarre fire incident, a kid in her tenement caught fire. His first instinct was to call Beau for help, and hearing her name in the middle of the blood-curdling screams, little Clara ran to rescue her friend. She saw the kid on fire and used a carpet to put out the fire. Unfortunately, the boy died. He took his last breaths in Clara's arms, staring at her till the light went out of his eyes. Despite the trauma from the incident, Sarah continued to live. She remained unbroken, but the seed for mental health problems that would plague her until death was already planted. The actress had no one to talk to about how she felt when she was younger, and she carried this mentality till adulthood. It wasn't as if the actress didn't want to talk. It was a matter of who she could have talked to. Her mother dealt with issues of her own. Her father had no interest in how she survived. The boys around her wanted more than to be friends. They wanted to steal a kiss from the actress. However, the actress didn't know how to be intimate romantically, and didn't want to be. The girls around the same age as her hated her for not having a great fashion sense and called her Carrot Top on account of her natural flaming red hair. Interesting how the same Beau they mocked would grow up to set beauty standards for them. The delectable actress would go on to create the heart-shaped lipstick wearing style. She even got henna sales to skyrocket at some point. This happened when her fans discovered that the sexy actress touched up her natural red hair with henna. Movies were how the sexy star escaped the mess that was her childhood. Movies sold to her dreams, and she bought that dream as she decided she wanted to be an actress. The star would mimic the actions of the star she saw before a mirror, and was convinced that she could do better than them. Then she set out to prove it when an opportunity came. She was 16 at the time, and she entered Motion Picture Magazine's Fame and Fortune contest. Her mother disapproved of Clara's participation, saying she was better off dead. Still, Clara entered the competition, and she won it. Due to some hard work on her part, she was put in a locally shot film as promised. Then, Hollywood bared its fangs at her, and the director of the film Beyond the Rainbow cut all the parts she was part of from the film. This almost broke Clara, but she was determined to become an actress and land a better role. But then, something happened. Her mother tried to kill her. Sarah meant it. Her daughter was better off dead than becoming an actress, even if she had to do the killing by herself. So in the night, when everyone was asleep, Sarah held a butcher's knife over her daughter. Being the street fighter she was able to disarm her mom. Clara would never talk about the incident. Her mother didn't remember the incident and died after she was committed to an asylum. The star loved her mom despite everything and cried when she died. Gene Hackman was right. Dysfunctional families did produce the best actors and actresses. Clara got a role in the film Down to the Sea in Ships, allowing her to be noticed as a future star. Although to get the role, she had to dress like an adult after getting tired of directors telling her she was young or fat. From then on, the actress became a regular in films, with audiences drawn to her natural acting ability. Her face conveyed different emotions, And unlike the other actresses or actors, the actress could cry on demand. To do this, all she had to do was remember her childhood. The audience demand meant she had to work all the time, which slowly eroded her mental health. Beau couldn't sleep without sedatives. Then came the talkies, which made things worse for her. True, she adapted to the talking films in no time, even if she criticized the new talking films for wanting to turn stars into robots. However, her adaptation wasn't perfect, as the overheard microphones distracted her sometimes. The actress was now triply stressed. To cope, the actress showed disdain for social norms, as she engaged in pleasure-seeking activities. She stalked the night when others were asleep. Through her coping mechanisms, the sexy star got into more scandals, further destroying her mind. So, taking a break, she checked herself into a mental institution, and when she got out, she married. Although she was passionate about acting, she had seen enough. However, came back for the sole purpose of making enough money to be able to stay out of it. She needed money to make her retirement enjoyable. She got the money from the film Hoopla, but her mind was already across the edge this time. However, her 2 daughters and husband served as anchors for her. Everything went south when her husband became a politician and entered the public space. Beau didn't want any form of public attention and tried to kill herself. Thank goodness she was unsuccessful, and she returned to the mental institution where she was diagnosed with schizophrenia, just like her mom. Beau wanted to get better. She subjected herself to different treatments, but none seemed to work. So the actress left her family and decided to stay alone, till death came to keep her company. Despite the hell that the actress raised, she was almost forgotten and would have been lost to time if one of her colleagues hadn't defended her. A historian wrote a book, The Parades Gone By, and omitted Clara's name from the list of 100 silent film stars of the time. Louise Brooks, unlike the other film stars of the era, had a friendship with Beau and heavily criticized the historian for not writing about Beau. Louise wrote, "You brushed off Clara Beau for some old nothing like Brooks." The historian immediately made amends, and Clara returned to her rightful position as a legendary star. It seems like some people are born to be scandalous, but how about evil? Was Peter Lorre born to be sinister? Let's find out.